Good evening, I'm Prasad and this is KiniNews. It appears almost everything is going wrong for Najib in his final SRC appeal. He failed in his application to be represented by the Queen's Counsel. Then he dropped Shafi Abdullah and appointed Zaid Ibrahim's law firm. Now even his newly appointed counsel has indicated they no longer wish to represent Najib. Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak has likened his current situation as being without a defence counsel. This is despite the apex court rejecting his lawyer Hisyam Teh Poh Teik's attempt to discharge himself earlier today. Najib spoke to reporters this evening, flanked by family members and supporters.
I wish to record my objection in the strongest of terms of this appeal proceeding today, where my rights to life, liberty, and right to a fair hearing is at stake. As you know, my counsel have indicated that they are unwilling to continue because of the fact that they had very limited time to prepare.
Najib explained that the SRC matter was a complex and documentary-heavy matter that required his legal team more time to prepare proper legal representation.
My defense could not be put across in a court today, and only the prosecution was able to make their submission. In such a high-profile case, it is totally unprecedented that in a criminal case, the defense is left without any counsel.
Najib expressed hope that the court would make remedial measures at some point in time because of the seriousness of the case.
In effect, in reality, without a defense counsel. And that is the most unfortunate part, and I'm not able to present my defense. And I believe I have a very strong and credible defense. And I believe Hisyam and his team, given a reasonable time, would do a very credible job to defend me.
Meanwhile, at the same press conference, Hisyam said he was in no position to participate in proceedings as he needed adequate time to mount a proper defense.
So under the circumstances, I'm not able to play an effective role. So in essence, Dato Sri has got no legal representation. That is the bottom line of it all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Proceedings before the federal court will resume tomorrow. What is actually going on in Najib's defense team? His lawyer, Hisyam Teh, sought to discharge himself from representing Najib. However, like many of the legal team's applications this week, this was also dismissed. Lawyer Hisyam Teh Poh Teik was not allowed to discharge himself from representing Najib Abdul Razak in the 42 million SRC International Corruption appeal. The 5-person apex court bench chaired by Chief Justice Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat unanimously dismissed the bid this morning. However, the lawyer refused to submit, so the court then directed the prosecution to submit the appeal. Earlier today, Hisyam failed in his latest application for the federal court to adjourn the hearing of the appeal so that he could have more time to prepare for the case. The former Prime Minister's new counsel has tried a few times, including yesterday, to postpone the hearing of the main SRC appeal. On July 26th, Najib's new lawyers took over from the previous legal team, led by Muhammad Shafi Abdullah. Umno's campaign is picking up speed, and no, not their election campaign. It's their campaign to support their former president, Najib, who has been having a hard time in his appeal at the federal court. Umno President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has criticized the federal court for dismissing Najib Abdul Razak's attempt to introduce new evidence in his final appeal against his conviction. In a statement last night, Zahid said his party was saddened by the apex court's decision. Zahid said Umno will not interfere with court affairs. However, Umno believes that justice need not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. In a separate statement, Party Deputy President Muhammad Hassan said all evidence must be considered and not set aside on technical grounds. On Tuesday, the federal court ruled against Najib's application to introduce new evidence in his appeal. Najib attempted to introduce new evidence which he claimed disqualified then High Court Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali from hearing his case and convicting him. However, the federal court ruled that both Najib's legal team and the prosecutors were fully aware during the trial stage that Nazlan was once employed by Maybank. A Putrajaya lawyer has called Umno's propaganda campaign in support of Najib an attack on the judiciary. In a statement issued today, Rafiq explained why. Top Umno leaders have been accused of launching coordinated attacks on the judiciary. This follows legal setbacks faced by former Umno President Najib Abdul Razak. Putrajaya legal counsel Muhammad Rafiq Rashid Ali said that when the federal court rejected Najib's bid to introduce new evidence on Tuesday, Umno leaders were quiet. However, he said last night the Umno propaganda started. Rafiq pointed out that top Umno leaders, their president, deputy president and youth chief issued statements which can be construed as questioning the decision of the federal court. The trio Ahmad Zaid Hamidi, Muhammad Hassan and Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki all issued statements yesterday suggesting Najib's attempt to introduce new evidence at the federal court was rejected due to a technicality. The new evidence, according to Najib's defense team, was that High Court Judge Muhammad Nazlan Ghazali should have disqualified himself from presiding over the trial. Nazlan eventually found Najib guilty of abuse of power, criminal breach of trust and money laundering in relation to 42 million ringgit from state-owned SRC International. Among others, Najib's defense team argued that Nazlan was a former employee at Maybank at a time when the bank did business with entities involved with SRC International. Countering Umno's statement, Rafiq said the federal court judges determined that there was no conflict of interest in how Nazlan arrived at his decision against Najib. The mayor of Kuala Lumpur will have 48 hours to respond to the owners of Crack House Comedy Club after it was reported that they were blacklisted by DBKL. Crack House Comedy Club owners Rizal Wan Gazel and Shankar R. Santiram have sent a letter of demand to Kuala Lumpur Mayor Mahadi Chengah. This is over media reports on the club's license being revoked with a permanent ban imposed on its owners from registering any business in Kuala Lumpur. The duo claimed that they received no official notice from DBKL on the matter. Now they are seeking a clarification from Mahadi whether the statements made by Deputy Federal Territories Minister Jalaluddin Alias were true. Yesterday, Berita Harian reported Jalaluddin as saying that Rizal was permanently blacklisted and the DBKL's licensing committee had decided to revoke the comedy club's license effective July 30th. The letter cited by Malaysia Kini demanded that official notice be provided within 48 hours starting today. Failure to do so will result in the duo seeking relief from the High Court. Crack House came under heavy scrutiny recently over a controversial performance that touched on Islam, which saw a woman and a boyfriend being arrested. Ismail Sabri said he has met with PN leaders. However, according to Hamza Zainuddin, that was not an official meeting. Now PN has requested for an official meeting with the Prime Minister. Perikatan Nasional has submitted a letter seeking an official meeting with Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob. This is to discuss several issues raised by PN. The matter was confirmed by its Secretary General Hamza Zainuddin. He also clarified that his previous meeting with the Prime Minister was an informal one. On August 13th, Ismail Sabri said he had a meeting with PN 2 weeks ago. He said the meeting was attended by Hamza and PN Treasurer Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar. Asked if PN would address the Deputy Prime Minister post in the official meeting later, Hamza said he would bring up all requests made by PN. Lack of power or no political will? That's the question we're left with after Minister Wan Junaidi's statement on why the government cannot amend the constitution regarding the status of overseas-born kids. Amending the federal constitution to provide citizenship to overseas-born children through their Malaysian mothers is beyond the powers of the government. This is according to Minister in charge of Parliament and Law, Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar. He said a constitutional amendment would require the involvement of the Conference of Rulers. Wan Junaidi said the government would only decide on its next course of action once a federal court ruling is made on the matter. He said the case is still pending in court now and the government wants to wait for what happens in the federal court. Wan Junaidi said that once the federal court makes a decision, the matter will be brought to the government, which will then bring it to the Conference of Rulers. Wan Junaidi said last night that the meeting was called to bring the matter up to the government. He declined to comment whether the government was ready to amend the constitution as he did not want to go against the court. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching.